Hello, and welcome to the Graceful Rebuild podcast. This is episode number 6,
Yes.
and we are coming to you live from our Christmas trees.
Yes,
So,
show yours off.
we have vacated the couches today, and we have Christmas trees. So, um, as always, our mission here is not to change your mind, but to challenge you to walk in a more graceful and wholesome identity with Jesus.
You know
And yeah. So we're excited. This is the first time we've ever done it in 2 different locations.
Yes, so just a little fun side note, my 10-month-old is pushing in like 3 teeth at the same time. So we attempted to record last week and that didn't go so well. I had to turn around and drive home. So here we are. I'm doing it from my house. She's doing it from her house. And Riverside is a complete blessing to be able to have this
Yes.
feature. This is amazing. So very grateful
Yes.
for that.
Yes, we are.
Right. So a little recap. So last time we had touched on deconstruction and trying to debunk some of those myths. We did say we would go into a part 2 with that. We're going to pause that and we are going to talk about grief after trauma and abuse and what that looks like and how it's different from your typical grief after loss.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. We will definitely revisit the deconstruction
Mhm.
topic because there's just so much there that we could cover. But I think especially after talking with Lena for the past couple weeks, because like we said, we couldn't record last week. We found that this is a topic that also gets overlooked quite often is the grieving process that
Mhm.
goes on after abuse and the way Christians handle that.
Yes. Yeah. And we're also going into the holidays. And I know for me, myself, grief gets really heavy around the holidays for me
Hmm.
because it feels like there's this gap that's not being filled. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's kind of a big reason too, is like I know there are people watching that, especially around the holidays, that it feels very heavy for them. So this will be a
Yeah.
for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So starting off, we're just gonna because one thing that we really want to do on this podcast um, is reach a wide audience when it comes to abuse. Like we want to come to people, we want people to watch it that have been through abuse, but also people who haven't. And one of the things we want to accomplish through this podcast is to get people to understand what is life like from somebody's point of view who has been abused spiritually, physically, emotionally, sexually. Because I think the more you know, the more that you can apply your knowledge, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. So when it comes to dealing with people with abuse, all that. So today, talking about grief and understanding what that's like. Most people will go through some form of grief
Mhm.
during their life. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just the nature of the beast. Like everybody's going to go through some sort of grief. But we're going to talk specifically about the grief of being abused, the grief of um life after being abused and what that's like.
And how to then navigate an entire new way of life
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you lost what you thought was real, what you thought was true, what you thought was, going to be the rest of your life. And now you have
Mhm.
to navigate in a whole new way.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. So I guess to start off, we should talk about more of like what it was like when we first got out and what did that initial grief look like
Mm.
as compared to like grief now. What are some things that you go through daily or on holidays? Like, what does that look like? But starting off with like, what did it look like at the beginning?
Mm. Honestly, I'm laughing because I think I don't think I even went through grief period after I got out because I quickly got into alcohol and sex and things of the world to cope. I
Yeah.
think maybe bottom line and like deep down there was grief, but I did not know that that was grief and I didn't know how to cope. I know how to feel now and I'm learning more like how to feel instead of just pushing it down. We need to work through it. Now we need to feel the emotion. And now I'm able to do that versus like 8 years ago, I was a mess and did not know how to handle it. That's kind
Right.
of my experience. I mean, what has it been for you? Like, is it 2 years, 3 years?
2 years.
First coming out to how you feel it now. And it's
Yeah.
probably a little bit more still fresh for you. So,
Mhm. Yeah. No, definitely there's definitely some aspects of my grief that are still fresh. I would say when I first got out though, I had survivor's guilt really bad. And for those of you who don't know what survivor's guilt is when you make it out of a situation, but you had to leave people behind in the harmful situation. Again, that's the Maddie standard version. That's not that's not a
yes.
dictionary definition, but in a roundabout way, survivor's guilt is you get out, but the people you love and care about or were around did not get out of the situation.
Okay.
Uh, so when I got out, it was a lot of that. I got out, but my siblings, I left them.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
so I think I dealt with that at the beginning, and then the grief. Mine came with a lot of sadness, and anger. Angry at my parents, angry when I started to realize and come to the realization that I had been wronged in such a horrible and vile and terrible way. Um, that's a form of grief of realizing that your parents didn't love you, that they didn't want what's best for you, that they didn't want you in their life, that they didn't actually love you the way that they were intended to love you. And
Mhm.
that's a really hard pill to swallow. A really hard pill to swallow. Um,
I'm still swallowing that pill.
yeah. I mean, I think Lena can attest to this too. It's really hard, I think, for survivors to watch other people have normal, loving family relationships. Being around like family gatherings,
Yeah.
graduations. Like these seem like common everyday, like or they're not common, but like these seem like very um like they're big highlights in people's lives, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we have to swallow the pill of, well, that won't be the same for me.
Mhm.
And you have to come to terms with your situation and realize that you're never going to get that.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be normal in that way. So I think that's the biggest grief that I struggle with now. What would you say?
Um, I break down my grief in different sections. So for me, it's I'm grieving the fact that I was lied to my entire life.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
the fact that um I was hurt my entire life. I'm grieving the fact that my situation, my children will never have family, certain family in their lives. They will never have grandparents on one side of the family. Actually currently going through another whole situation right now as we speak with my other side of the family. And now I have to tell my kids one day what, you know, why do we not have my parents in our life? And one hand, I have to tell them what mental health does. Someone who's not mentally disabled isn't going to love the same as someone who is.
Hmm.
And so, like, I have to have that conversation. I kind of been swirling around in my head, like, what do I say when that, question happens? And then I have to actually, my daughter and I have had a few conversations of, where's your mommy? And well, my mommy was not a healthy person at all, and she hurt me very badly, and we choose not to have her in our life. Mommy is learning to forgive her, and then also learning that Jesus even set boundaries, and we have to set boundaries because I have to keep you safe. So those are very rough. And then um, grieving the fact that, oh, I I don't know if this ties in with grief, but jealousy.
Hmm.
Sh-
Yeah.
Goodness, I will go to certain functions, whether it's a family function or a party, whatever it is, and I will get jealous because it's like, wow, you get your parents or you get your siblings. have 2 of my siblings in my life. One of them is still trapped, and I haven't seen that sibling in, like, 8 or 9 years now. Holy moly, it's been a while since I've seen my youngest sibling. So, grieving that part too, I don't see him
Yeah.
and know if I ever will because my head is like, "Oh my gosh, he's being conditioned and manipulated and lied to right now as we speak." So, I don't know if there's any hope of me ever getting to see him, but I trust the Lord in that area and, like, when he is ready to get out, then I know that God will either I pray that God will open his eyes to that. Um, and then
Well, let me add on to that too, because I feel like that kind of ties into some of the grief that I'm dealing with right now.
Mm,
Um, I this is something we probably should talk about in another podcast as well. The I'm gonna screw this word, so stay with me, y'all. Parentification, I think is how you say it, of a child, where you basically make a child the parent of your children instead of parenting your children yourself.
oh,
Um,
y
yes.
yeah,
I feel like there is a certain grief that comes with the parentification of your children, being forced to kind of be almost mom in a
yeah,
way.
mhm,
Um, babysitting 24/7, the meals, all the things. That's something that was really, really hard for me when I got out. Just for reference, I have 6 siblings. My oldest brother is 25 and my youngest sibling is like 3 or 4. And when I got out, he was 2. And I watched that kid every day, all day. I did his meals, I did bedtime. He would cry unless I took him to bed. That was really hard. Like, I was close with all my siblings, but especially the littlest, that broke my heart. And there's so many times that I've cried over the fact that he probably will not remember me. And I it's a hard pill to swallow to know that your siblings, you're missing out on so much of their childhood and family moments that I should have been a part of. I no longer get to be a part of because I was cut off. And so that is something that really, really sticks with me, especially when it comes to like family gatherings and birthdays and
mm,
um those are really, really hard for me during this time. And not being able to see my siblings every day and not having them in my future wedding and not having them, just, a couple blocks down the road or, a phone call away is really, really hard.
mm,
Really, really hard. And it is important to understand the ramifications of spiritual abuse and how that impacts people
mm,
because it goes so deep and it causes such a big uh, impact on that person's emotional state. Like it completely wrecks it. I mean, I think part of it too is like understanding that abuse and grief over abuse is almost like a death.
yes.
Yeah.
So there is, um, the death of a person, and then there's the death of walking away for the rest of your life. Or it depends on if you ever reconcile with the person or not.
Yeah.
Um, I'm in belief that my parents will probably never reconcile.
hmm
People in my life that did abuse me will probably never
And,
reconcile.
and just for reference, both Lena and I have been cut off from our families. Um, Lena, was your parents, did they say, like, you had to repent before you could come back into their lives, or they just completely not talk to you?
I'm trying to remember how it fully went down. It happened so fast and so quickly. Honestly, I think for me, I actually didn't want to be in their life again.
Yeah,
I was
and
in
that's completely fair.
that was to the point where, like, you hurt me so much and so bad. I had no desire to be in your life again. And I actually, um wrestled for a really long time the fact that, I felt like I was wrong and I was the one in the wrong because 'cause I'm the one who ran away and, like, did everything. So I went into a spiral of, like, "Wait, what if I made up all of this stuff? What if, oh my gosh, this is all my
What
fault."
if they were actually telling the truth and I'm the one who's delusional?
Yes, yes, I
Yes.
literally went crazy. I thought I was the crazy one.
Uh-huh.
There's current family members in my life right now that I have to be very careful with, and there's some in my life that, I had to cut off, like, some I haven't seen in 10 years that
Yeah.
I had to see in passing, and I remember, a recent graduation of one of my siblings. There was a family member there, and oh my, I could feel I don't know how my skin was crawling. My skin
Mm.
the person was watching me the whole time. This person, again, I haven't spoke to in 11 years. Like, I'm married and have kids now, and it's weird. Um, and I all I could feel was, like, guilt and disgust because this person is sticking up for someone who did disgusting things to their kids.
Mhm.
And so it was just awkward. That was so
Would you
awkward.
say that's another form of grief too, is like the feeling of betrayal?
Yes, and the fe it's I feel like grief is not just sadness. Grief is a multiple different
Yeah.
emotions. So, I think for me, it was, like, the disgust and the, like, shock. There's another emotion. There was, like, that shock of, like, I literally cannot believe I'm sitting in the same room with someone who has hurt
Yeah.
and covers up for this person and didn't protect me as a child. Because I can recall a few occasions that there was a few people in my life that should have called and gotten us help, and I held some bitterness over them.
Mhm.
Some I have been able to reconcile with, and like, "You know what? You didn't understand the full situation, you didn't know what's going on. I
Yeah.
no longer hold that against you," and I've been able to reconcile with some of those people. Some I will never talk to again because you lost all my respect. You lost every bit
Yeah.
of respect, and, yeah, no. So grief is grief is funny. One thing that just a side note, Maddie and I will laugh at some things because the situation or um the piece of our story that we're talking about is so bad that for me, when I grieve, I laugh really hard about it. And so if you see us laughing this whole time, like, why are they laughing? They should be crying and bawling their eyes out. That is how
We
some
do. Don't get it. Don't.
And I'm not a crier. I used to cry a lot, but now I don't cry as much. I think that's a little concerning, but I don't know. I don't know. Um, I also I'm weird with my emotions. I like to like just put on a front but deep down I'm like feeling everything, or I just go like this. I just feel like zonked out, and I will just
Mhm.
stare in space or whatever. But
Yeah.
grief, grief is very funny in ways. It's the way we process some of the dumbest shit that happened to us.
Yes.
So,
And
uh
honestly, that part of the grieving process is more of the healing. Um, because while you grieve, finding people who have similar stories of you as you, similar situations as you, people who can relate and like actually understand your grief. Oh my gosh, so beneficial because
Yeah.
you can relate and you can have that conversation about the things that happened to you and you're like, "Oh my gosh, no way, my parents were just as fucked up as yours."
Or
And
it's a
sometimes you have to laugh. It's healing.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
helps with the grieving process.
I think we actually said in one of our earlier episodes about, like, laughing being such a great form of healing. Laughing or
Yes.
crying is a great form of healing.
Yes.
Um, finding, another great form of healing is finding really good, loving, supportive people in your life.
Yes.
And then obviously this one's such a hot button, but finding God again. That's a hot button. I know that
Yeah.
we've touched briefly on, like, the whole, like, "Well, you just need to pray and get over it," kinda thing, which we'll
Mhm.
get to that, but finding God again is very healing, and understanding God in the way that you should understand God and not the way that someone else is telling you to understand God. Because there was a season where I walked away from God, and honestly, looking back, I'm like, "Wow, it kinda actually taught me some stuff
Mhm.
in a way and coming back." I definitely relate with the prodigal son in a way, but, like, at the same time, I'm not I'm not mad about it. Like, I don't beat myself up as much. It's, like, more of like, "Wow, I'm kind of glad I went through some of those dark times," and kinda, like, realizing that now I know I don't drink, and here's my reasons why, and I give that good example of, like, "This is what I did in the past. This is how I learned from it." So that's another thing is trauma and abuse, and then coming out of it and finding your life again is a big learning curve, huge
Mhm.
curve. You get to grow and blossom into you basically get to take the pen back from the people in your life, and now you get to write your story.
Yes. Yeah.
God is the ultimate author, and he is writing your story page by page, but
Yeah.
you go alongside with him, and you get to help write the story too now. It's not you're in you're in some control. You're not in full control anymore, and that's a really good feeling too.
Yeah, and then tying back into that, grief feeling like death. Um,
Yeah.
because like we said at the beginning, there's lots of different types of grief. And a lot of people don't realize that abuse comes with a lot of grief and a lot of baggage afterward. Like it doesn't stop as soon as you walk out the door. You're not just, oh, everything. I know for me, I'm really, really hard on myself and I expect myself to be healed and be normal. And you
Yeah.
have to realize you're not normal. You have to grieve. You have to understand that it is gonna make you uncontrollably cry when you go to social events. It is going to make you feel those feelings, but it is important to feel those feelings and to realize that abuse and the things that and the baggage that comes with it is like a death. Do you want to explain to our audience what we mean by it's like a death?
Okay. So, it's like a death. Oh, man. I have this conversation off and on with a lot of people. Let me talk in what the believer believes with death and then trauma and abuse. So,
Mhm.
when a believer loses someone, they go to heaven. In a way, it's sad, and it's awful because you will never physically see that person again, but on the other hand, there's so much peace knowing that you will be reunited in heaven one day forever for all of eternity.
Yeah.
Kind of the same grief as, like, when you miscarry a baby. Yes, you're grieving, and that's really sad, and my heart breaks for every mom who's had to walk through that, but there's also, especially friends in my life who have, you know, gone through that. I see the joy also on that other hand where it's like, but I will get to see my baby in heaven one day. So those are good examples of, grief after death. When it comes to death of I what did I used to call it? I would describe as death of what you thought was true. So,
What about death of just it's a death of life almost. Your whole entire life is totally you die to a whole different way of life.
mm,
It's like your life has 2 segments, your life before abuse, your life after abuse, because they're totally different.
yeah,
It's like you have
yeah,
entered a you got reborn again or something.
yes. So, I have a thought on that. I think grief after abuse and trauma is actually harder as a believer for me specifically because here's the really horrifying thought. My parents, and I might get emotional talking about this, but realizing that the people I loved and that raised me, are possibly going to spend eternity in hell is the worst horrifying thought I've ever had. Because again, go back to the believer that is going to be reunited with that person in heaven. You have eternal hope with God, you're going to be reunited. But this is the dark part I don't think people talk about enough. I will never probably see them
Yeah.
unless they have a moment with the Lord. I mean, I'm not God, and I'm not going to sit there and pretend where they're like, I'm going to play God, like, oh, they're going to change their hearts. I don't know.
Mhm.
And I don't know how God works in that, but I'm pretty sure if I'm reading the correct Bible and talk to many therapists and, many people in my life, pretty sure there needs to be some reconciliation if you are truly going to follow the Lord. So that right there is a horrifying thought. That's a
Yeah.
big grief. That's literally you just lost someone and you may never see that person again.
Can we also talk to about the counter belief to that as well? Because you're in a place, what are you, 9 years out
Yeah.
from your situation, um, where the thought of your parents going to hell is something that saddens you, right? I'm not saying that the thought of my parents going to hell doesn't sadden me. I would say I'm at a spot where my forgiveness has not reached that yet,
Mm,
where I'm still angry
mhm.
and I'm apathetic toward, like, it's up to them. Like, I've kinda given that,
Yes.
well, that's just they're gonna have to live with their own consequences because I get so angry about people who do terrible, malicious things to children.
Mhm,
Like, it my blood boils,
mhm.
and it can be really hard. I'm glad that you're able um, to think about your parents in that way because I would love to be at that spot where I would be like, I'd be sad if you went to hell, but I'm like almost I'm not I wouldn't be happy if they go to hell. I'd
Right.
be
No.
apathetic toward
Exactly.
the whole situation.
And I validate that and I completely understand where you're coming from. I want to touch on that too. So something I learned in the past, like probably 5-ish years is, and man, I beat myself up and, looking back, I would have told Lena this was going to be a process. Forgiveness doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
So the more I read in scripture, the more I learn about our human flesh, it dawned on me that forgiveness actually is probably going to take a lot longer than what you thought it would be. I thought forgiveness was like, okay, I'm letting it go now. I'm going to move on. I forgive them. But then 3 days later or 3 weeks later, I'm mad again. I'm like, wait, what the shit? I thought I just got over this. And then I spiral. I'm like, wait, I thought I forgive them. So maybe I didn't forgive them. No, forgiveness and forgiving your abusers. Mind you, I'm 8 years and I'm still wrestling with this thought off and on. I'm to the place now where I'm like, crap, it literally makes me so sad and kind of sick to my stomach
Mm.
that they are probably going to spend eternity in the hell because, I don't know. That's just a horrifying thought. But also at the same time, realizing that forgiveness comes in waves, just like grief comes in waves. And forgiving someone right on the spot doesn't work. And then there's also, I went through a pretty intense, quote unquote, letting your abusers go. It was supposed to be this,
No, okay, that right there,
it was
and
a,
let's help our audiences out just a little bit.
yeah.
Please, 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 please. We talk a lot about things not to say to a person that's been through abuse. Don't tell an abuse survivor, "Have you forgiven them?"
Mm.
That should not be your first response ever. It is so incredibly important to feel the feelings that you feel
Yeah.
and not stuff them, and not to just cover it up with a Jesus Band-Aid and call it good. There has to be a grieving process, and part of that grief is feeling anger. It's feeling the anger towards your parents. It's feeling the resentment. It's feeling the rejection and the betrayal and the sadness and the all of it. It is important to feel those things and to express them and to process them in a safe environment and with people that you trust.
Mhm.
Um
And
because you cannot ignore it, otherwise it will come up later, it will come up, when you're parenting, it will come up when you're in relationships with other people, it
yep.
will come up on your spouse. You have to be able to process those feelings, and get them out there.
Mhm. And
because those feelings are valid.
yes. And the reason we say that is because if you suppress all of that, "Oh, I gotta move on now, it's time to carry on." Here's the thing that I think we also need to tell our audience the difference between someone living, because I think, Maddie, correct me if I'm wrong, do you tend to get the whole, like, "Well, you're living in victimhood, you're living in victimhood, you're living in victim." So I get that a lot, like, the whole, like, "Are you just gonna be a freaking victim the rest of your life?" I
So, okay, stop though, because both of us, especially if you come from I won't even go there. Yes, spiritual abuse, they paint you out to be the worst person ever.
Mhm.
But this happens in all abuse circles. You were never convinced. I was never convinced. You were never convinced that you were a victim at any point of your life. You were always the problem. So yes, you cannot suppress 16 years of thinking you were the problem when you were being abused. So all of a sudden you're only 2 years out or 9 years out and saying, "Oh, well, I can't believe I'm a victim." There's a difference between saying, "Yes, I was a victim of abuse," and living in victimhood.
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's a distinction there
Yeah.
because living in victimhood is not is isn't grieving isn't living in victimhood. Grieving is I was a victim of abuse, and therefore, in order to heal and to grow, I need to feel these feelings and process what I've been through. That's
Yeah.
not living in victimhood. What do you feel like would be an example of quote unquote living in victimhood?
For an example, okay, and a little bit kind of jumping off where you were what you were just saying, for those who are listening, why it's harmful in saying that is because for my case, I was actually told to suppress my feelings as a child. I was told to be seen and not heard. My emotions did not matter. In fact,
Mhm.
an example, there was a time in my life, I think I was a teenager. Well, yeah, I had to be. I was a teenager, and my mother, quote unquote, was so sick of my attitude. Mind you, if looking back at my childhood, I was a really good kid because I wasn't allowed to be bad.
Yeah.
So my attitude was a problem for her. Well, you know what? We're going to get you on a pill and we're going to fix that. And so I was basically manipulated into taking, I think it was a birth control pill, I'm pretty sure. You know what it did? It made me go freaking crazy. I basically couldn't feel after that. And I remember saying, "Hey, mom, I'm not liking the way this pill is making me feel. I feel like I can't feel." And I think that was her purpose though right there. I think that was her mission to accomplish. Well, I don't want you to feel. So when you've been told for 21 years, 18 years of your life, because I got out after 18, but 18 years of your life to not cry, not get angry, not feel his emotions, obviously it's not going to take 1 month, 1 year to just get all that back again. It's going to take a long freaking time.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
pressure to move on and get out of victimhood. Okay, for example, victim mindset is saying, well, woe is me. Um, and I still do this, okay? So I'm preaching to myself because I still have to wrestle with like, crap, am I being a victim right now? Or am I saying, hey, I really don't like this feeling, but let's move on? How would you describe a scenario? Gosh, my brain.
Of like being a victim.
Distinguishing being a victim versus just feeling and going through what happened your whole life.
Yeah.
What's a
Um,
example? Being a victim. Okay.
victim living in it, I guess.
Okay. Would you say that? Okay. Here's an example. I could use right after I got out, I started lying. I started, because
Mm,
this is the opposite of what I thought. I think I kept playing that victim card. And what I did was started lying to people to the point where I ended up having to leave the home I was in.
mhm.
To then basically what I said is like, well, my life is not even freaking worth it anymore. I basically am not worth living anymore. There we go. There we go. Okay. Victim is saying I am not worth it anymore. I don't, deserve to be.
Victimhood.
Yes, victimhood,
Yes.
and that I'm not worth anymore, I don't deserve to be alive anymore, so basically I spiraled off the deep end, so let me just drink my life away, smoke some pot, hook up with
Yeah.
a guy over and over.
So let's condense that definition then. Would you say that we are victims, but living in the victim mentality is refusing to heal and refusing to grow from the situation that you were in?
Yes.
Because I would say that anytime that you have big feelings, you're not living in victimhood. You are processing the results of being a victim.
Mhm.
That's not living in victimhood. You can't really control that per se. You can control how you respond out of it, but the
Yes.
triggers and the things that come your way, you can't necessarily control that.
No. No.
Um,
Yeah. We're freaking human beings. We have them.
yes.
Jesus literally wept. Shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus
Yes.
wept, and also Jesus had emotions.
Mhm. Yep.
So why shouldn't we have emotions? And we're also humans, so we're definitely now. I'm gonna put this in the same sentence of thought. Be careful because we can't let our emotions lead our life. That is dangerous, and I do
Yes.
agree that there are people out there that just spiral the whole opposite. It's that it's that
Yeah.
sweet thing. You have to be careful. So me and my therapist talk about this a lot. What's that? What am I talking about? What's the pin?
The pendulum swing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There we go. I was
And
gonna.
we'll refer to that a lot in our podcast is
Yes.
pendulum swinging.
Hmm.
Because like for instance, I think we talked a little bit about you, Lena. I don't know if we mentioned this in particular, but we have talked about like feminism and stuff like that and how like people claim that you're a feminist because, this, that, or the other. It's that pendulum swinging.
Yeah.
People believe things can only be black or white.
Yes.
And so sometimes that even plays into, like, after you get out of, like, abusive situations. I don't know, I bet you went in through this phase as well, but, like, your man-hating phase where you
Yeah.
pendulum swing from, women basically, you don't get any rights or anything, and then there's like, "Oh, no, 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 we hate men," all the things. I don't think I fully hated men, I just fully did not trust
I
them.
will not lie to the audience. Seasons there was a season where I was like, "Men are disgusting, men are gross, screw all men." And I think I was through trying to go through dating and trying to find I'm like, "All men are just gross." I'm done. And and now I catch myself, I'm like, "Nope, not all men are bad. There is
Yeah.
incredible men out there. They are hard to find in this day and age."
Mhm.
So I don't hate all men, I just despise certain behaviors that some toxic men have.
Yes.
Some
And
behavior.
these pendulum swinging that we're talking about, specifically with abuse survivors, um, for instance, like we were talking about the man hating. There's also like your reformed kind of on one side, your really strict fundamentalist
Yeah.
Christian
Oh,
compared to your really loose progressive Christian. You can swing there, you
yeah.
can swing feminist or more patriarchal. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can swing. I think me and you have both landed pretty much in the middle on all of those topics.
Yeah.
Um,
So
After we've kind of swung a little bit, part of the reason why we have these really big shifts in mindset is because we're trying to protect ourselves.
mhm.
The part of grief and trying to feel feelings is feeling like you need to defend your emotions and you need to defend who you are, and if you're not, you have to be completely against this. So you have to find that like middle ground, but first you got to feel safe
Yes.
that you swing.
Pendulum swinging, the reason, victims do that is because no one taught them bl healthy emotions as a kid. No one taught them or showed them examples of, healthy parenting, healthy marriage, healthy whatever it is, so that when you get out, you don't know what the frick is false and what's not.
Yeah,
So
you don't even know what's right
yeah,
or up or
you think about you have to get to the middle again, you know,
Mhm.
because you swing and you sway for a while. That's very common in victims heads. I mean, I still, especially in parenting, I have to figure out, oh crap, do I swing the whole other way and just like completely not do this? Or do I go, okay, hey, let's reel it back a little bit. What could we do where we find a middle ground? And
Yeah.
I've said this before, but I feel like my trauma and my past and my abuse comes out more in my parenting than my own marriage. Like, if I were to say one is harder than the other, it would be parenting.
Mhm. Yeah, I completely agree.
It's very common in people who've been abused. We do not know how to balance. We're
Yeah.
going, and I don't know, maybe I pray that my kids will have a good balance, but it'd be interesting to talk to just a healthy person that maybe grew up in a healthy environment. How
Yeah.
do they pendulum swing, or is it more common in someone who went through abuse? But yeah, all that to say, to wrap all that up, the pendulum swing is very real. I'm currently talking about this with, my counselor of like, how do you not go from one freaking side to the other side? Because there's so many black and whites nowadays. There's Republican and Democrat. There's Christian nationalists, and then there's this, and there's no middle. And it's sad because we're all forced to go to one side or another. You know what? I'm actually choosing to stay in the middle, and this is where I'm
Yeah.
going. It's balance, and it's incredibly, incredibly hard.
Yeah.
It's emotionally hard because you have to try not to get all your emotions involved, but then you're also balancing how to have healthy emotions and not lash out. It's a whole entire thing.
Okay, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about and we've touched base on this just a little bit in this podcast already, but the not rushing the process of grief because
Mm,
I feel like we have a lot of like we were talking about just slapping the Jesus bandage on grief and calling it good. We talked a little bit about that, but more in depth of like what does it actually mean to give yourself permission to grieve slowly and to
mm,
feel all those feelings? Because I don't know about you, Lena, but like I said earlier, I am really, really hard on myself because
mhm,
of the background and what I came out of and the strict, rigid, emotionless upbringing
mhm.
that I feel like I need to be healed or I need to be normal.
Yeah,
And so I think we need to talk about um, being okay not being normal and
yes.
not rushing that process to be normal.
Well, I think we forget that very, very, very popular quote. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
There's a very popular quote. Also, it depends. People who like feel like they need to, feel normal and like fit in. It could be the environment too. Sometimes I think something I've seen you growing is shifting the people you're around. That's
Mhm.
that's very helpful. It's like you feel the pressure to like, oh, I need to be healed and be normal because everyone else around me is normal.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, this freaking world's not normal. So, but
Yeah.
what is normal anymore? That's just funny. I had to put that in there. There's nothing normal in this world anymore. But anyway, my point is finding people that want to take time with you.
Yeah.
That's very important. I think that's what's helped me is being around certain people that are like, wow, I don't have to feel like put together and put on a face and I feel that
Find oh, how
it's just
about find people I know for me, I have 3 safe people, including my boyfriend, but you, another friend, and my boyfriend, those 3 people find people who will pick up the phone
Mhm.
anytime that you need to rant, to vent about the same topic over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And find people who will be a shoulder to cry on over and over and over again.
Mhm.
Um,
And they won't hush you or um well, they won't give you advice. Well, my advice is just do this and this and this. I don't want you to give me advice. I just want you to listen for a minute.
yeah,
And we're not saying coddle that person because again, I think people get that whole like, well, you're just letting them be a victim. No, we're letting that person feel that frustration because again, we don't know what normal is. We've never functioned in an emotionally safe environment, so we have to figure out what's emotionally safe now. And
Yeah.
there's a verse, Psalms 34:18 says that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. That's
Mm,
a beautiful verse. And then I really want to share a song. There's a lyric in here. Um, actually, I may share it to our pages because I think we tend to forget so much that Jesus is not a fast, quick, busy God, but Jesus has time. And it's called He Has Time. And it says, under the weight of the curse you've been broken, you are not what happened. You're more than the shame you were recklessly given. You silently scream through the tears and you can't keep from falling. And then the chorus goes, He's not in a rush. He has time for your healing. Lean on his shoulders. It's never too late and your story's not over. You wish you could go back in time and rewrite your own ending.
mm,
And Jesus runs after the broken ones, weeping with those who weep, crowns them with purity. And then here's the main part. He is here and he has time to take what's wrong and make it right. He is here and he has time to take what's wrong and make it right. But basically, it just kept repeating. But I love that song so much. And I will share it to our Facebook and Instagram later tonight because it talks about the fact that Jesus will sit down with me in this room.
mhm.
This is how I picture it. He will sit down with me, crisscross applesauce, and I will just cry or whatever it is. I'm angry, and he doesn't wince. He doesn't blink. He doesn't, oh
Yeah.
gosh, you need to get over yourself. Humans do that because
Yeah.
unfortunately we're humans. And I learned recently that there's a difference between unconditional love and conditional love. And unfortunately, I think most humans on this earth have conditions. Did that
Yeah.
occur to you? And it shocked me when I heard that. I was like, oh my gosh, which makes me feel so much safer with the Lord. And like that's healing my relationship with Him so much because the fact that He's unconditional, which tells me I can be freaking angry and really sad, and He will not even change an ounce. But I feel
Mm,
like I was with another human, not you particularly, but someone else. They're going to immediately, well, you need to do this and you need to get over it. And there's conditions.
yeah.
But with God, there's none. There's not. That makes sense. He
Yeah.
unconditionally loves me so
Yeah.
much that when I am freaking pissed off, He's not going to ask me to get my life together and move on. He will sit in the
Yeah.
pit with me. Now, don't sit there for 3 days. That's not what we're saying, guys. I think we need to.
Well, okay, well, hold on. Why I don't understand why we have to even disclaim that, to be honest. Like,
Fair.
if somebody is actually in pain and feeling the pain,
Mhm.
um, if it takes you 3 weeks, if it takes you 3 months, 3 years, and you need to sit in the pain that long, then you sit in the pain that long.
Uh-oh.
At least from my perspective, I just feel like, whether it takes you 3 years, 3 months, or whatever,
Mhm.
you should sit with that person through their pain and their struggle and weep with them. Weep with those who weep, and rejoice with those who rejoice. Like, being able to sympathize with someone and empathize with them and just sit with them.
Mhm.
Um, because, again, healing shouldn't be rushed, and time frame looks different for different people. People they come from lots of different walks of life, and grief doesn't have a timestamp. I wish it did. I wish I knew the day that I would stop crying over the same thing or whatever.
And something I've had to come to realization and still to this day realizing is I may never be fully healed on this side of heaven. So
Mm,
basically, there are certain things that I may feel for the rest of my life. For example, every freaking year, the holidays come around the corner. It puts
yeah,
me in one hand, here we go. Lena likes to use the hand analogy. One hand is so thankful for the people I get to create memories with, and my children get to create. We
yeah.
get to create new Christmas traditions because I freaking love Christmas, my favorite time of the year.
Same.
Other hand is so sad that I will never get to celebrate or be with that again parent because your parents are supposed to be the safest people in your life, and so that grief is like, "Shit, I don't get to ever see you or celebrate with you ever again."
Yeah.
That's weird, and it hurts, and it's so sad. I'm still grieving the loss of, like, my younger sibling, like, well, not the loss, but not seeing him and
Mm.
waiting and wondering, "Will I ever get to unite with you again?" That grief is specifically the biggest during the holidays. It's like another holiday, I don't get to see you. I don't get to hug you and, see you. Because very similar story to Maddie's, I raised my little brother. Like, we got him when he was a brand new baby, and 4 months in, I was doing the bottles, the diaper changes, the getting up in the middle of the night. I was freaking up at 3 AM, and they would force me down to the, couch and do the whole feeding with them. It just something a child should never have to. I'm 13 at the time. Like, it's just that's not okay. So
Yeah.
so he feels like somewhat in a way, it's like, that's like my little son, and now
Yeah.
he's all grown up, and, um there was a time, Maddie actually doesn't know this, there when we were going through court process, before I kinda went through some shit, they were going to place him in my care.
Mm.
Like, I
Wow.
was actually going to get to raise him, and that was gonna be incredible, and I don't know what happened. Again, the court system's very, very broken, so I'm not sure what happened,
Yeah.
but they at one point, we're talking about placing him in my care, and yeah, that didn't work because he was unfortunately a minor, so it was a whole thing. Also, understanding that you may not be healed on this side of heaven. You may feel angry every time, let's say your trigger is a grocery store. We're just gonna use that. You may feel a trigger every time you walk to the grocery store. I feel a trigger every time I walk into church. And it could be a really, really good church, and I feel a trigger.
Yeah.
And I get mad. I'm like, God, I thought I was over this. No, Lena, you need to just keep healing, trust
Mhm.
my plan,
Yeah.
and just remember this, you will one day an eternity. I will be completely the happiest person and never have to feel that again. But for right now, maybe I have to accept the fact that I may feel PTSD, an anxious moment when I walk into church.
Yeah.
It's out of my control. And
Yeah.
well,
Basically,
what does healthy grief look like? I wanted to touch base on that a little bit. So sometimes healthy grief, there's an actual way to grieve in a healthy way. It's again surrounded.
well, not avoiding it for
Exactly.
one.
Sometimes it takes extra help, like a medication, and please do not shame people that need to be on it. If they need to be on it, that's their choice. Healthy grief is not, for example, let's say Maddie goes into like hiding for 3 days. I'm sorry, but I love her enough that I can't let her just go into hiding for 3 days. It's
Yeah.
say, hey, you can grieve, but we gotta keep moving. We gotta keep moving. The world doesn't stop. Your grief is valid and you need to feel it, but the world doesn't stop. Let's get you to work.
No,
And
she's not saying don't take time for yourself, or
yeah,
if you need time alone for a period of time. She's
yeah,
not saying that. You're saying stuck in it. Like,
yes,
you can continue to grieve and still live your life and process it with
absolutely.
other people. That's the most healthy version of it. Sometimes, yes, you do need time alone to process and to think and
Absolutely. And
self-care, all the things, but
yes.
not sitting in the dark too long, because
Yes.
that can get
Because
kinda
isolation is
dangerous.
not healthy. We will
Yeah.
agree. Isolation is not healthy. And so it's saying, hey, you need to process and feel this. I'm not even, it could look like, let me use a good example. So let's say Maddie's grieving something really heavy and she's real quiet. It's not sitting there, I need you to talk to me, or why aren't you talking to me? Hey, you're clearly going through something. Let's go get coffee. I don't even need to know the details. Let's just go get coffee. Or, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't heard from her. Then I'm gonna be like, "Hey, again, the world doesn't stop spinning, we gotta keep moving."
Yeah.
So, it's not suppressing the emotion and saying, "Move on," it's saying, "You physically, you gotta keep moving,"
Mhm.
because we don't wanna fall into such a dark depression that we, fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
It's also, again, "Hey, I'm allowed to feel the feeling, I need some space."
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah.
So, to wrap this all up and just summarize basically the point of this podcast, we talked about grief, the different types of grief, how both we gave examples about how like both of us have experienced grief and how we've dealt with that. We talked about some of the lies that Christians believe about grief, and we talked about not rushing the process. To end,
I
we
t-
just
one question for oh, Maddie, I do gotta ask this. Do you just love when people say to you, you're a lack of faith when you go through grief? Like, do you get that a lot? Or like, oh man, your faith is not big enough. Hold on. We can have faith the size of a mustard seed and look what God does with it. I don't know if that's something common in your life or if you hear that, but I hear that in the church. I went through some of that when I was going to a previous church. What? You're telling me I am so hard right now on myself, like trying to believe that God is good after all this freaking crap went down when I was grieving through like a broken engagement and all that. And you're telling me that my faith isn't big enough? Or you need to have more faith? Or you're not walking in God's light if you aren't having faith? I think it's completely okay to,
and you're talking about because your healing process isn't sped up. You
yes,
need to grieve faster.
yes. Or you,
Yes.
we put,
That was the point I was just about to get into, to kinda send our audience out, was to talk about, just to touch base and encourage our audiences not to not to ever encourage, like we talked about not speeding along the grieving process, not to encourage, um, the overlooking of that.
mm-hmm.
Not to over spiritualize, everything when it comes to grieving,
Yeah.
which means that you understand that grieving is not a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, oh, I'm just going to grieve and all of a sudden I don't grieve anymore. That we were talking about seasonal grieving where it's
Yeah.
holidays and birthday parties, whatever. Um,
I
Sitting
guarantee if
with a
I
person realizing that there's going to be the highs and the lows and
yes.
some days you're on top of a mountain, the next day you could be, in the most depressive state ever.
Yeah.
Grief is not a flat line
Yeah.
at all.
Absolutely. It's also like, but come January, February, I'll be like probably completely out of that funk. But just realizing that grief is layer by layer by layer.
Mhm.
And it will be so interesting to see where you and I are at in like 10 years, just to see how, God is going to move. God is going to heal. We're going to probably look back on this in 10 years and be like, hey, remember that season we're going through? I don't feel that as much anymore. It could
Yeah.
take 10 years. It could. And we have to accept that. And the whole idea of our words are powerful. You guys are just saying that you need to, you guys are, you guys need to have belief more and believe that that's going to be healed. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I
Yeah.
am not fully in control of what my body's going to do in 10 years.
Mhm. Yeah.
We don't have full control.
No, we don't.
I think people think that we have full control of our lives, but we don't. We do not
Well,
have,
not over the grieving process, no.
no.
No,
And
that comes when you're, because I mean part of it is the triggers
yeah,
and the things that cause you to uncontrollably cry or feel all the feelings and the thoughts come rushing back. Like those are not those things. It just takes processing over and over and over again until it starts to become a, okay, this hurts, but it doesn't hurt as bad as last time. That's
yes.
something my counselor I've talked about is like, because we were talking about a trigger that I had, and he said, well, this time it took you an hour. I had to remove myself from the situation, go sit somewhere and talk it out. He's like, but next time it might be 45 minutes. He said, and then the next time after that, it might be 30. And then
Hmm.
it might be 25. And then it might just be 10. And then it might be 5 minutes. And then he said it might just be a passing thought, and you grieve for
Two
like a
seconds.
minute or two, and it's gone. It slowly narrows, but you
Yeah.
can't. There's not this like timestamp of, oh, at 2 years I will be here, at 3 years I will be. It doesn't happen like that.
I mean, I wish it did sometimes. My gosh.
Yeah, I would love to know where I'm gonna be.
I will be fully, like, healed in 10 years. My gosh, let's just time lapse and jump there. I would, but it's also just understanding that God going back to, like, the church and everything, do you have any encouragement for people who are in and out of church or frustrated by the church because of their grieving process? What would you say to those people, and what would you say to people that specifically haven't been through those scenarios within the church that are giving really bad advice?
Yeah, yeah. So I
Just
would say if you have never been through abuse, or you have a friend who has been abused, whether through the church or through other avenues, um the best thing you can do for them is not to fix their problem,
yeah.
because ultimately you can't fix grief and you cannot fix what happened to them in the past. Don't be a fixer. That will never help somebody with abuse. You can point them to resources and you can help them process, but the
Mhm.
best thing you can do is sit with them in their grief. To mourn with, as scripture says, mourn with those who mourn,
Yes.
rejoice with those who rejoice. Especially like most people who are going through grief, they don't want you to fix their grief,
Mm.
because you can't change the facts that they have been through horrible things. But you can sit with them and you can be a shoulder to cry on, and that is the biggest thing that you can do for someone.
Yeah.
Um, and then for people in the church, and we touched base on this just a tad earlier, stop over spiritualizing grief. Please stop over spiritualizing grief. Let
Mm.
the person feel their feelings and stop tacking a Bible verse to it as if they don't have enough faith, as if they don't,
Yeah.
they just
Like them using God. That's
yeah,
literally why some of us are grieving. I know that's a big part of your and I's story is, really? We just went through severe spiritual abuse. Don't try and manipulate me by using God's name.
yes,
That's the thing.
yes.
Because we will catch it. We will
And
catch.
then that's part of that fixer mentality though,
Yeah.
because people think they need to fix the problem. You don't need to fix the problem.
Well, I think it pisses me off when they start to put in the whole like, well, God said that we need blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah, and they start doing, and I'm like, nope, I will cut you off real quick because I know what you're trying to do, and I think that's such a gift and a curse at the same time because I have that gift of like, I can sense when someone starts about to start to spiritually manipulate me. You are not going to sit
Yes.
there and tell me that, well, God did this, God said to do this, so you need to be doing. God didn't tell me anything like that. And read your scriptures a little bit more carefully because when you start to throw verses on people like that, or you're starting to say, well, God told me this, or
Yeah.
no, no, no. The,
Again, these people who are saying this, they might have a good heart, because again, it goes back to
absolutely.
fixer mentality. They might have a good heart behind it, where they're just trying to help, and they're
Yeah.
just trying to um help you come out of it, but the best thing you can do is help that person actually grieve, because that's the biggest thing that's going to help them, is for them to actually grieve, for
Yeah.
them to actually process and to cry and to feel the emotions.
Yeah.
um and I hope that's the biggest thing you guys as an audience are taking away from this episode, is that grieving is not only something that happens, it's actually like necessary for growth. It is necessary
For
for
healing.
healing.
Yes.
Don't inhibit something that's going to help somebody later on in their life. Like, if you want to be a part of that person's life, I reposted a quote the other day about this. But if you want to be a part of somebody's life, um, and you want to be really close to someone who's been through tremendous amounts of trauma and abuse, you have to be willing to sit with them, not once, not twice, but over and over and over again, until they've gotten past that, no matter how long it takes. So,
Hmm. Seek to understand. Don't
yeah,
seek to fix.
yes.
We know that so many hearts intents is I want to take this pain away, and sometimes that's where that fixing mentality comes in.
Uh-huh.
But seek to understand. Say, hey, okay,
Um,
really someone who's not been abused. Hey, I never walked through your shoes. I don't know what it's like to be beat by my parents like that, or I don't
uh-huh.
know what it's like to be sexually abused like that by my dad. But I want to seek to understand, and I am sorry that that happened to you.
Yeah.
Don't try to do the whole like well, that happened to you, that sucked, but we got him. Those words hurt like a sword in the heart so
They
much.
do.
Seek to understand. And if the world, my biggest takeaway, if the world could seek to understand hurt and understand each person they encounter every day, gosh, wouldn't it be such a better place?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of trying to
We
fix everything and shut everybody down and judge everybody, seek to understand someone's story.
yeah. No, I completely agree.
The church is supposed to be
Um,
brokenhearted. We're supposed to the most broken people, the people like you and me and so many people out there who are hurting, the fact that we don't even want to turn to the church, even though that's
mhm.
our first place, tell
Yeah.
me where the church has really gone wrong.
Yeah.
Church is not for the fixed, healthy people or I'm healed now, so I can go to church. The church should have been, in the first place, should have been like, crap, you are really hurting. Please come to our church. We want to love
Yeah.
you and care for you, you know, whatever that looks like. And man,
Yeah.
I that
We have definitely gotten that twisted.
and I pray to see more of that over time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, if you have stuck with us this long on the podcast, we thank you so much. I know this one was a little bit on the depressive, I don't want to say depressive side, but it was a little bit of a deeper dive into a topic that's not often discussed, but definitely necessary. So thank you guys
Yes.
for watching.
And
Maybe next time we do something lighter, we bring someone on, or we talk about something interesting. I don't know. If you
yeah,
have any like suggestions, please leave us a comment. We would love that.
yeah. Topic in our comments. We would love to
Yes.
hear that. We're
We
on.
haven't got any comments yet. I'm kind of sad. Like, come on, audience. We need some like we need
Yeah.
some interaction.
Yes, you guys
Um,
don't feel afraid. If you want to talk about something spicy, please drop it in the comments.
well, Christian spicy.
Yes.
Um,
Sorry.
we don't
Yes.
want to get
Like
we don't
the
get
hot
like
button.
enough.
The hot buttons that nobody wants to touch. I should rephrase
Yes.
that. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. You're good. Yeah, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube,
Hmm.
and Spotify. Instagram and Facebook, we're at the Graceful underscore rebuild on Instagram, and then the rest of them, it's just the Graceful Rebuild. And if you could please like, comment, subscribe, all the things. We greatly appreciate you guys watching and listening,
Hmm.
and we hope you have a great rest of your week.
And I will drop the psalm on all of
Yes.
the platforms so that you guys can listen to it and understand the incredible love of Jesus in a much
Awesome.
deeper way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a great night, and thanks for hanging with us in our Christmas trees.
Yeah. Yeah. Have a
Yes.
great week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.